Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Beth O'Connor, and I'm a technology trainer with MLS of Long Island and the Long Island Board of Realtors. And I'm really glad you've taken a few minutes or maybe more to take a look at how to use Stratus better. If you're a new agent, and this is a new agent webinar, I welcome you. I'm so happy that you're taking the time to learn Stratus now. First, just a little bit of housekeeping. You are all in listen only mode, so even if you have a microphone, I can't hear your voice. But if you have a question, just type it into the questions box on the right hand panel. It says go to webinar, and there's a place where you can ask questions. I will stop after each segment and address questions on that particular area that I've just covered. Also, there are two handouts that I've put in this. If you just take a look in that panel also, I put our training calendar that's coming up and the abbreviations for LSC, the last status change, which for new agents is always a little overwhelming, all of those UC, all of those different abbreviations. So I put a little handout there for that. Also, I am recording this session and I will post it in the support center as soon as possible, probably later today. And if you haven't seen our support center, I will show you. It's the yellow light bulb. Let me make my screen a little bit smaller just so I can be sure. This yellow light bulb has a lot of help for Stratus in here. So if you take a little time to go and visit and go to our training guides and videos and also webinars, you'll find lots of great information in here. Under the webinars, this is where the recording from today will go. This is the one I did last month. I also did, if you go to all of them, I did one in June, and some of them I cover a little bit more of other things than I do in different ones. So you may want to try out the other ones, and if you want to check out videos there. So again, our support center is the yellow light bulb at the top of every page of Stratus. So hope you find that helpful. All right, let's begin. Now I'm at the info center for Stratus. I am going to assume that all of you already have your login, your user ID, which is also your LIBOR member number. If you don't have that, I can help you with that. Just send me a message there in the questions. And perhaps all of you have already at least logged in a few times here in the short time you've been a member. But I want to show you some tips and tricks to make this more efficient, easier to look at. Some of this can be a little overwhelming. And you've noticed already, I've gotten rid of a few of the boxes that are on here. If I go to my name up here on the right and just hover my mouse over my name, it shows that there's 4 panels that I have removed from this page. So let me put one back. I'll put the recent work back. This is the recent work panel, but I didn't find that useful, so I used the X there and I just got rid of it. And now it's going to be listed under my removed panels. I like more white than anything else. You can also drag and drop things around. Some of them can't be moved. The news can't be moved or deleted. The quick search over here cannot be moved or deleted. The links can be moved, but it can't be deleted. So this has really got some great stuff in here. I won't have time to go through all of this, but if you're a new agent, you really want to take advantage of all the different resources and programs that you have available as a member of the Long Island Board of Realtors in an MLS office. So take some time when you have it to check this out. By the way, there's a link right there to the MLS rules book. If you're not sure about something and your broker or manager is not available, you might check the rules and also the automatic fines. Just know that certain things, if you don't load the picture of a listing and things like that, will just generate an automatic fine. So check that out when you have time. and a couple of really good ones at the bottom here, Realtor Property Resource and Remind. But today I know our focus is Stratus, so we're going to start by talking about the most important things that you want to use on this page. The first thing I'm going to mention is the menu on my left side here can be moved to the top. If it's in your way, you can click on this. Let me just zoom in so everybody knows what I'm talking about. This gray circle here with the triangle inside of it. That's your toggle to move the menu to the top. So watch when I click it, now my menu goes across the top, the main menu. But now I also have that so I can put it back. I still have that gray circle with the triangle, and I can put it right back. So I know this is the default view for new agents. You have your menu over here, and it is helpful to be able to see where search, ad edit, market share, markets, all of those kinds of things are. It's opened up here. I think people find that handy. And also your favorite listings, your carts, your listings, office inventory, your recent searches, and your recently viewed listings. It's kind of nice to have that all right there in front of you. So the most important thing on your info center, let me just move this the way I normally have it, is this section right here, today's listings. As an agent, you need to know exactly what's happening in your market up to the minute. You need to know what houses have gone under contract today, what listings have sold today, what had price changes today, or even going back a couple of days. So I have this set up for today, but I'm going to drop that down and show you. You can go a few days back. If you're a new agent, you may want to study maybe the last 7 days. And these groupings of towns are all customized by every single person who logs in. This is not done for you. I had to do this myself. You're going to do it yourself also by going into your settings. We call these market areas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have up to 6 total. And I have maybe 10 towns in this one, 2 towns in this one, probably about 20 towns in this one right here. So you could put as many towns as you want, but you always want to give it a label of some kind so that you know what it is when you click. So right here for 3 Village, that's the area where I live, residential and condo, there are no new listings today, but there are 11 updates to other listings. So if I want to see them, I just click right there on 11, and I can see really quickly what's happened since midnight last night. So here's a listing that went under contract. I'm just looking at this LSC, and that's how I know UC is under contract. These abbreviations are all attached to your webinar handouts today. So you can print that out, put it on your computer, print it out, and you'll have that handy as you're getting used to these abbreviations. All right, PC means there's been a price change. Now, some price changes have the red arrow, and that tells me the price change has been within the last 14 days. Other listings have had price changes, but it's been a much longer it's been maybe the price change was a couple of months ago and nothing else has happened. So that stays as a PC. But this is how I can really become an expert in the market, by checking daily, if not multiple times per day, what's happening here. The top agents that I have trained and helped over the years tell me that they check this generally about 5 times a day. They want to know what's happening right away. Okay. And let me just go back. We can do this. West Hampton area, 2 new listings here. So I'm going to click on 2 new, and that will show me what the new listings are. Okay. And that's again since midnight last night, because I said I wanted today. All right. So I'll show you how to set that up. You're going to come over to your settings, and everyone should take a little time in your settings, especially as a new agent. First of all, I'm under profile. Let's start there. Make sure that the email address that you have here is your business email. I know that some of you, when you joined LIBOR, maybe didn't have your business email yet, so you might have put your personal email address on your application form. So come back in here if that's the case and click here where it says click here and put in your business email address, and especially so that your listings will have your business email on them. We don't want your AOL or your Hotmail or those kind of, you want your business email. But it does take overnight for that change to show here. So be patient, just wait until the next day. The old email will show here until the following day because the two systems need to sync at night. Okay, you can put a cell phone number in if you want. If you want that to show on your reports, you can put that in. And the next tab over is your agent photo. Okay, if you have not uploaded your photo there, then it won't show on your reports and your various things that you're going to print, your CMAs. You need your photo in here. You also need your photo in here so that you can get your SentryLock lockbox card. Every new agent receives one, but it has to have a photo. And as soon as you upload the photo here, just choose the file from your computer, upload the photo, that automatically triggers the order for your lockbox card, and you'll get it within probably a couple of 2 to 3 weeks. I believe they'll arrive, but I think they are sent to the office though, not to your home address. So if you've been a member for a couple of months and you haven't seen it and your picture is here, then you'll want to check with your office and see if they have it. If not, you can call MLS customer service and they'll double check on whether it's been mailed or whether you need another one. Okay, so you do need that lockbox card to get into properties that have the lockboxes. Most of you will not have this tab for office logo. That's for the broker to make sure that the company logo is there. I work for MLS, that's why that logo is there. And this is what I was referring to, your market areas, where you're going to set up your today's listing section. So remember, mine was called 3V, res and condo. So I have residential and I have condo selected. That's all I want to see in that section 1. And I have quite a few towns selected in here. And really the easiest way to select multiple towns is just click on this link right here, select multiple towns. Check off the towns you want to include and either hit continue or save if you want to save that group of towns, which is really handy. Some of you use maybe 20 different towns quite a bit and have to go through those lists every single time and click, 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 click. It's a lot easier if you can just save that list of towns. So there are up to 6 market areas you can set up here. I only used 5. Just use what you need. And some agents set this up where it's their area, but they do residential on this one, and then this one they do condos and the same towns, and this one they do rentals, this one they do land. So it's completely up to you how you want to set that up. All right, make sure you save when you're done so that, and then you want to test it. You want to return to the info center. Now notice I'm not using my browser back button when I return to the info center. It's gotten better that you don't run into problems with the back button, but it still happens every once in a while. So use the navigation in this menu over here on the side, or if it's on the top, use this to get to where you need to be, and don't use the back button whenever possible. All right, again, if you've joined us a little bit late, we are recording this session and it will be posted on the Stratus Support Center by tomorrow for sure, if not later today. It takes a little while for it to be processed. I also have attached 2 handouts for you. You're going to see them in your GoToWebinar panel there. You can download them. One is the LIBOR catalog, course catalog, and the other is the abbreviations for last status change. If you have questions, just type them into the questions box and I will respond to them after each segment. So right now you would put in questions about the info center if you have them, since that's what we're working on. This section, today's listings. Now notice down here below today's listings, I have open houses that matches the areas that I put into my settings. So 3V Res Condo also shows up under open houses. I had open houses set for the next 7 days, but if I want to just see what open houses are for today and tomorrow, I can just change that. And there's only 2. I'm going to click on the number 2. And it's the same property because one of them was put in as a broker open house and one was put in a consumer open house, which means anybody can go to it. And pretty much all open houses are that way now. But if it's not a COH, then it would just be for agents only. Okay. So that's a great way to see what open houses you can check out coming up by going to this open houses section here and click on the number. And if you don't want those consumer open houses, just scroll down in this little box and deselect the consumer open houses. And then when you just do the today plus 1, I only see the 1. I don't see that duplication. So I'm not going to see consumer open houses because I turned that off. So that's helpful, I hope, to clean things up here. And you have other really important things here. The news items, I know sometimes it's in your face too much, but LIBOR and MLS try to get a lot of information out to you through this news. It's one of our few ways besides email that we can get your attention. So I want to point out though that under this gray area, this is my section where I am promoting that we're doing one-on-one help, private tutoring for Stratus and Collab and RPR. So if you want to set up a 1-hour session with me, we would do it through the computer. You would see my screen. I can talk to you. I can hear your voice. You'll hear my voice. And a lot of new agents have been using this because they feel like they can just get exactly what they need rather than from going to a crowded classroom. So if you're interested in that, just click there and you'll see the dates coming up for private tutoring. Now you have a search here on this info center form, and I have to be honest that I don't really use it that often. We didn't always have it, but it really is kind of handy if you're just looking for one particular thing. So let's say we're going to look in Belmore. So I just type BELL. I don't need to type the whole thing, and select Belmore off the list. You can select North Belmore if you want also, right? Just keep typing. You don't need to put anything else in if you put the towns in. You're going to get a countdown here at the bottom, 122. And then I can just say I want everything. Let's see if there's anything under 450. We're down to 18 now. You see that? Now, one of the things you're going to find everywhere is this opportunity to preview, because sometimes you put a lot of stuff in and you're not sure why it's a 0. What happened? So when that happens, use the preview to diagnose your problem, because it just moves all the other stuff out of the way and it tells me I picked Belmore and North Belmore was 122. And then once I asked for under 450, it's down to 18. Okay. So that can be handy also. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that search. And I'm at what we call the list view. All right. And there's just so much. We could spend a whole hour just on this one page alone. So let me try to show you the highlights, and hopefully they'll save you some time. The first thing you want to do is sort the list in a way that makes sense for you. Maybe you want them, right now they're in town order, so the Belmores are together and the North Belmores are together, but maybe I don't really care about that. Maybe I want them only in list price order. So I'm going to click on the header here, this list price text here, and then I'm going to click sort. So now it's giving me highest to lowest there. Do you see that? and without regard to the town, it's just giving me highest to lowest. Now, if I want to reverse that, if I want the least expensive, I do the same thing. I click on list price, I click on sort. Now I've got the lowest up to the highest. Simple, right? You can sort any way you want. I'm going to sort by style here. We can sort by the number of bedrooms. You can do a multi-level sort if you hold the controls. So let's say you want them by style, and then you want them within style in bedroom order. You can just hold the control key, click on the second sort, and you can have them that way. Okay, so you see with the ranches, the 3 bedrooms are first and then the 4. So it's just a multi-grouping here. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can remove columns and you can add columns here. You can drag and drop columns. So let's say maybe you want the ML number, which is hanging out, peeking over all the way over here on the right side. If you want it over here, just click on its label and drag it over and let it go where you want it. So you see how now I have the ML number right here, and that makes it really easier for me to see it. So you can move things around. And if there's a column you don't need, maybe I don't need zip code, I'm going to click on that and I'm going to remove it. Gone. Now let's say maybe I want to add a column. I want to add the name of the listing agent to this report. So I'm going to click on listing broker because I want it to show up right in front of that. So I click on it and I go to add a column, and I'm going to go to listing agent. There we go, listing agent, and there it is. Now you can see who the listing agent is for each one of those listings. So you take advantage of this, and if you want to save a view, let's say you really like this view and you always want, anytime you're searching for listings, you want this to be the view that you see. You're going to come up here to customize, and you're going to save it, give it a name, and you can then set it as your default search once you save it, okay? You'll have a button here that says set as default once you give it a name. So this is what we call the list view, and the navigation icons here at the top couldn't be more important. You really need to train your eyes to always check out these icons at the top to see what could you possibly do with this list. So for example, so I'm in list now. You see how it's a little bit darker gray behind it. So that's the one that's pressed right now. But if I go to map, I'm going to put all of these on the map, these 18 properties. Do you see that? Puts them on the map. We'll talk about maps a little more in a minute. And then I can toggle right back to that list view just by clicking on list. So I'm just going back and forth with the same 18 listings, list, map, whatever works for you. It'll hold on to your listings as long as you haven't started a new search. The other thing I love is photos here, especially when you've got a good number of listings. When you click on photos, you get to see the exterior and the address of each of the properties. And there's even a little checkbox that will hold on to it for you. So let's say I want to pursue a couple of these. It doesn't have the price, unfortunately. That would be a nice thing to have. So I check these 3, and then I close this, and those 3 have been selected. So again, photos, and select what you need, and you're good to go. Now, if those are the only 3 listings you want to deal with, you want to get rid of the rest of them, come up here to the action bar and click on narrow. Narrow will remove the others that you don't need. But I also have now expand. So if I realize that I forgot one of the listings that I really wanted to keep, I just go and click on expand, and they all come back. So you can check everything if you want. Sometimes this is the best way to back into a narrow if you want to only eliminate 3, or let's just eliminate 2 of them. Let's say I don't want this one and I don't want that one. So you see how I'm going to narrow, but these 2 will be gone when I hit narrow. I'm down to 16 listings. See, your count is right there. Okay. And then generally I just click and click again to get rid of that blue highlight there. Now let's go over these little icons in the list view. The star will put this into your favorites. See if I hover over it says that. So you have a folder called favorite listings. I believe you can put up to 100 in there. And it wouldn't be listings so much for a specific client, but it might be a listing that you really just want to keep an eye on. Maybe you think it's overpriced and you're curious to know how soon they're going to do a price change, something like that. So you would click on your star and the star turns yellow, and you see how my number, I had 8 and now it's 9. That's how I know it worked. I can take it out by clicking the yellow star again, and now I'm back to 8. Now the cart next to it is what you're going to use for your clients. So if you're taking, let's say you're taking some buyers out on Saturday, I'm going to create a cart of the listings that I'm thinking of, and then I can go back and tweak it a little bit later, but I'm just going to throw them in. So these are our Belmore. So I'm going to click on the first, this one, Hewlett. I'm thinking of taking them there. So I'm going to click on that cart, but I need a new cart for this. I'm not going to use one of my old shopping carts or listing carts. I'm going to create a new one. And this is going to be my, let's call this John, no, let's call it Annie and Steve Belmore. And let's say it's going to be Saturday, 8, oh gosh, what is the date for Saturday? Today's the 14, 15, 16, 17, I think. I'm probably wrong on that, but so now I have this and I can put whatever I want into this card here. You see, you can add them. And by the way, this is the same way that you remove something from your cart. I have the option to remove a listing as well. So I'm going to add that to the cart. And maybe I want to take them to this one as well. So I'm going to click on the cart. I'm going to pick the cart and I'm going to add that listing. So when I'm all done with that, if I go over to my main menu and I go to listing carts, I've got all of my saved listing carts. I've got a lot in here that need to be cleaned out, but I can highlight the one that I need, just select its little box there and go to the results. Or you can change the search by going to continue. You can delete it, rename it, create a new cart. So if I go to results, you'll see the 2 that I've held on to that I'm thinking about taking them to on Saturday. So use the carts. It really can be handy. Also, when you're doing a CMA, you can throw the listings into your cart as you see them. Your CMAs are your comparative market analysis reports that when you go on a listing presentation, you show the seller the other properties like theirs that have sold or on the market, under contract, maybe expired, to help prove your case for what you think it should be listed at. Okay, so we'll take a little quick look at CMA if we can at the end of this lesson. So the other thing I wanted to show you, so we've got these 2 listings, but maybe I want to see a little more. I want to see more details about these. I have 2 choices. I can either click right on it, or I can go to this view here. Either one takes you to the same place. So I'm going to click on the first one, this Hewlett Lane. And this report is what we call the broker full. So do you see that where I'm circling here? Broker full, that's what we call it. There's a whole bunch of other reports. I'll show you a few of them. Whoops. I'll show you a few of them in a second. But the broker full is the one you need to see before you take a buyer out. It's the most important thing. It's not something you're going to give your buyer because it's got details they shouldn't see, like the broker remarks. That's not for their eyes. You don't want them to know when it expires. You probably don't want them to know what all the commission splits are, things like that. The owner's name, you wouldn't want that. So this is for your eyes only, right? If you wanted to print it, you just go to the print icon at the top here And we're just going to print this one listing. I'll preview it so you can see it should fit nicely on the page. Now, if you're having problems with this, make sure you're not using your browser's print. Let me close this. If you use your browser's print, I'm in Chrome, I like Chrome best, and I go to print, watch what I'm going to get. Well, it's not horrible, but it's not right. It's just not all, it's not right. It doesn't have everything. So um, make sure you use the print icon that Stratus has given us here at the top in your action bar. All right. Now, if you wanted to share one with a client, you could choose a client, you could choose a consumer, and you could choose a customer. There's really way more than there needs to be here, but the client full is pretty safe. The difference is it gives the price history if there's been a few price changes. And nowadays, your consumers can get all of that on Zillow anyways, so there's no reason to hide that from them, which is what these options do. They hide the price history. So you're pretty safe with the client full for everybody. Once I choose client full, you can see that it removed the commission splits and all of that. Now, when you email this to someone, I'm going to email this, and I would suggest you try doing that too. So I'm going to go to the envelope at the top to email it. I'll email it to myself. I think it's always a good idea for you to test this out first before you start using it for real. And you can put whatever you want in the subject line and in the message. But before you hit send, make sure that the form you want them to see is here. I don't want to leave the address out for them. I want them to see the address. So I'm going to select client full. The default is client full with no address. I'm not sure why, but it is. That really is a throwback to the 90s when consumers had to find out where a property was. Now, you're going to get a broker full when you send a listing to a customer or client. You'll get the full listing with all the commission splits and all that. So don't panic that they got that copy, because they didn't. They get whatever you put here and you get the broker full. Okay. And you can also attach any of the attachments, the listing information, if you wanted them to have it. Okay. Go ahead and hit send and you'll get a confirmation that it's been sent. It was kind of hidden there at the top, but just when you're sending listings, and you can send multiple, you can send lots of listings at the same time, but you may want to, if you have, let me just go back to where I have a bunch more listings. Let's say I have these 22 listings and I want to share them. I probably don't want the client full. I probably want something else, maybe like the client consumer thumbnail. I'm sorry, I always look for client consumer thumbnail because it's just a little shorter. See, this is what they'll get, just a little bit shorter information about each of the properties. With the, but if you're taking some people out, I like the comparison. It kind of lines them up side by side. Now there's 6 pages of this, right? So if I wanted to see all 6 pages, I have to use my arrows to go through all 6 of them. Okay. So there's lots of great reports. I do want you to check out the different ones. Flyer 2 is probably my favorite of all these different flyers. It's got a nice big photo and then multiple photos. This is an interesting photo right here that the agent put in. I'm assuming that's a bathroom little nook there for shampoos, but we don't have too much context there. And it will show if your photo's on file, it'll have that at the bottom and it will have your company logo. Mine says MLS because that's who I work for. Okay. That's the flyer. And the other one that consumers really love is the photo gallery, right? So it gives just a little of the details, but all of the photos. This is probably not a good listing. Let's find something a little better. This is a good one. Look how this agent just carefully took each picture, put a description. All the pictures are landscape, oops, except for that one. I'm going to show you a little bit. This is so easy to fix. This issue where this picture is not the same as shape as this one is easy to fix when you put a listing in. So I'll show you a little bit about that. All righty, I'm going to check for questions and then continue with a little searching maybe on the maps. Let's just see. Okay, well, some of you did just join us late. So we're recording this. If you joined us late, you'll be able to listen to the entire recording when you get an email. You'll get an email after the webinar. Actually, I don't know if it'll be attached to that email, but you look for it in the Stratus support center, okay, when you're done. All right, I don't see any questions. I hope that means you're good with what I've covered so far, but please don't be shy if you have questions about what we've covered. Now I'm going to return to the info center, and just what I was doing up till this point was searching right here under quick search. But if you click on the search under listings over here in your main menu, you really get a more detailed, quite a few detailed options for searching, okay? The one that people use most because it opens up right here is the new search, where you can do res, condo, rental, land, commercial all at the same time if you want. You can do available and unavailable. If you're doing unavailable, you can look in the archive, which will go back 20 years, more even. I think it goes back to the 90s, 1990s. And you can see old listings. You can only put 5 towns in when you do the archive, though. You can't do a whole big area. But this is pretty common. This is what we call the template search. So let me just do a quick available. Let's do sold listings for this time. Let's see what is sold in the last 6 months in, we'll do Levittown, okay? So I'm going to just do residential and unavailable and continue. And I'm just going to put a town in. I just type LEV. There's no need to type it all the way out. Just put a few so it can recognize it. And once you put the town on, leave everything else alone. There's no need to put a zip code, a zone, or a county. These are just extras if you wanted. And you really don't want to put a county in, because watch the number change when I've Levittown 1687. Watch what happens when I put in Nassau County. I've got 44,000. Okay, so you don't need to tell Stratus what county Levittown is in. They already know. The only time you're going to use county is if you truly want to look in the entire county. All right, so let's say we want to look at listings that sold in the last 6 months. So this is what we call a template search, which is the most common fields are kind of laid out for you here. Things like price and style and bedrooms and baths and all of that. And all the way at the bottom here is where you're going to put in a title date. So the title date is the date that the property actually closed, the transfer of the deed. And so if you want to see things that have sold in the last 6 months, you're going to click in this minimum date, and you're going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dates, 6 months, I'm sorry, and today is the 14th. So I'm going to go back to February 14th. I've got sold 242. Wow, that sure seems like a lot, right? And the one thing I wanted to point out here is that if there's a field that you would like to use for your search, but it's not on this template here, you just go to the add a field. Most people don't use these, but I just wanted to point that out. Maybe somebody is looking to see if anything's sold on a cul-de-sac, right? I would say cul-de-sac, yes. And there was only one. There's not too many cul-de-sacs in Levittown, so let me take that out. Okay, so you have that option there for other fields, but I'm just going to go ahead and submit this. And again, list view, you sort it by street name if you want. However, whatever works for you, remove the fields you want. And let's see. Oh, what I wanted to show you was you can, if you change your mind about your criteria, maybe you only want to see the capes, you can do two things. You can return to that criteria page by clicking on this revise criteria, or you can open up this side panel using this little icon. Open up the side panel, and now you have criteria you can put in just right from here, right from the results. So if I go to CAPE and select it, watch what happens. There's just the capes. So very easy to do. And I want you to consider saving searches that you do periodically or a lot, or if you have a buyer. So let's say I need to know what cape sold for in Levittown all the time. So I'm going to click on save here, and I'm going to call it sold Levittown 6 months. Okay, click on save. And once you do that, and you return back to this search menu, your saved searches are right here under this tab. So ours was sold, there it is, sold Levittown in the last 6 months. So I wouldn't have to put in the town and the style and those kinds of things and the date. I don't have to put anything like that. And because it'll remember to do the last 6 months, okay? You also have options, shortcuts to these saved searches right from the info center. So let's say I wanted to use that Levittown search. Do you see this here where it says, where it says use search? This is going to be a list of my saved searches. So there's the sold Levittown 6 months, and I can submit, and I see that same group of listings that have sold in the last 6 months. Okay, so that can really save you some time. Alrighty, any questions on that? Please type them in, and we're going to wrap up by taking just a quick look at the maps, and we will look at Add Edit and how you can make sure your photos really look great. I see a hand is raised, but I don't know the question, so you have to type the question in into the questions area if you have a question, okay? Otherwise, I don't know what the question is. So let's put these on the map, and I'll just show you a few tools here. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to go to the main search menu, and I'm going to start at the map search. Do you see that here? Map search. And we're going to do available and unavailable listings this time. We're going to do both. All right. Now, these are my saved map shapes, which we don't need for right now. I'm just going to leave this alone and just click on continue. Now your map will always open to the area where you work, where your office is located. But you can drag the map wherever you need it to be. But just keep in mind, if your map is really zoomed out far like this, where there's going to be too many properties, you'll get nothing. You'll get no listings at all. You see how it's kind of stuck down here at the bottom searching? Now it says I need to narrow my criteria or zoom in. And I really need to zoom in so I'm just going to zoom in a couple more and let's see what we get. There we go. So once you get close enough and it's less than 200 results, you'll see these circles, which each color means something, and the legend here will tell you what the colors mean. While you're getting used to that, just use the legend. Blue is closed, red is available, purple expired, etc. Okay, and you just hover your mouse over each one, and notice you have your favorites and your carts here as well. So this can be a really great way to set aside some listings. You can look through all the pictures, things like that. Wow, this house was nicely redone, huh? You can check it off so that when you get to the list view, it'll already be checked off if you just want to narrow it down to a few different listings. But what I wanted to show you is how you can draw things. So let's say that we want to draw an area that our buyer has said, maybe they grew up in this part of, I think we're in Port Jeff Station. And so you want to draw the area that they're interested in. So I'm going to select these drawing tools up here at the top. This time I'm just going to do the polygon, which can have as many sides as I want it to. So I'm just going to start clicking. Do you remember when you did that dot to dot when you were a kid? That's what you're doing, is you're kind of just creating those dots so that the only things you're looking at is what your buyer wants, what they really want. And these shapes can be really helpful if you want to set up a search for them or save the search. So let's say I want to save that shape, and the client who's interested in that area is called, let's say, Holly. Okay, so I'm just saving that shape for her. And anytime I want to bring that shape back up, it's going to be right here in this list of saved shapes. So I just saved that. If you need to change the shape, just click on the pencil, click on the shape, and then you can drag your pinpoints. Okay. If you need to change it completely, you can throw it in the trash can. And you can also draw circles and square rectangles. You can draw multiple ones too. So let's say maybe you want, oopsie, it could be a little funky sometimes, but I also want, let's say maybe this area right here. You see that? So you can draw multiple areas on your maps. The other, let me throw those in the trash. The other thing I love is the street side view. So right now we're in the road view. This icon up here told me we're in the road view. The aerial view, you all know what that is. And the street side view, watch what happens when I click on that. I get this little blue man, and I have to put the blue man on one of the streets and let him go so I can see the street and what it looks like. This brings you to the, it's not Google Maps, it's Bing Maps, but you can drive, drive down the street a little bit. I don't know why mine's not working. And then close that view when you're done. Okay, so you have these different views for your map are going to be there. I see we have a question, so let me add. Danielle says, I put a few saved searches in. Am I able to easily transfer them to today's listings? Oh, I wish you could, Danielle. Today's listings only saves towns. It doesn't save any criteria. So, yeah, you're going to have to set that up separately, sorry to say. And Anne is asking, can you repeat how to get the handouts again? So on the GoToWebinar panel, you're going to see something that says handouts. Open it up if it's collapsed. And I put 2 on there, the last status change abbreviations. And let me just open that up so everybody can see what it looks like. Because you may not even know how much you need this. You do need this. Here we go. Let me just dock this. Oh, okay. So it's all of these abbreviations, right, that you're always asking us for. What does this mean? What is UC, EXP, EXD, contract canceled, all of that. So that's what you're going to see on that handout that I gave you. Okay. All right. So I think that addresses our questions. Let me quickly show you some of, I did show you saving searches, listing carts, shapes. Okay, good. We've covered. I'm just looking at my list of what I intended to cover, making sure that I did all the different views. Now, I will mention that we have a free 3-hour Stratus demo class that obviously has more time to go in detail than this one does. So if you're feeling like you need a little bit more, you're going to look for the Stratus demo in the on LIBOR's. You have a link to LIBOR, lirealtor.com right here in your menu. You should check this out anyways. This is how I go to Stratus, by the way. I have this as my shortcut. I just dragged it down to right there, and now I have a shortcut to LI Realtor. And that way I know what's going on at LIBOR, and I can get right into Stratus right here. But the reason I brought you here was to see the classroom courses. If you go to education, classroom CE courses, you can see whether we have any upcoming Stratus demos. I like to just type in the word that I'm looking for, which is demo, and use the filter. There we go. Isn't that better? So we have September 5th in Woodbury, September 11th West Babylon, 19th in Riverhead, and 20th in Jackson Heights. So we're done with August, and we didn't have as many because it's summertime, but you have plenty of options for this class. It is free, okay? You can get CE, but you have to pay $25 for it. So, all right, so I want to just talk about photos on your listing. So let me go back to the info center and let's bring up a listing and pretend that it's your listing. So I'm going to go to, let's go to this one right here. Okay, so if this was your listing and you were looking at the photos and you thought, well, gee, I'd really like to brighten these up a little bit, or maybe they're not all taken in portrait. This was really well done. This agent did a good job. You can always edit your listing, okay? And I will go to edit listing to show you how that's done. I usually leave this at edit listing details, but if you wanted to just go right to photos, you can. I'll click on continue. And the first thing I wanted to mention, when you take a listing, the front of the house does not have to be the first picture on the listing. You're going to have other agents tell you that, but it's not true. I've worked for MLS for 35 years, and I'm familiar with the rules, and that is that you can put the best feature of the house. It might be the backyard, it might be the front yard, it might be the kitchen. Put that one front and center. And you can easily rearrange your pictures. You see how I'm rearranging them? You just drag and drop, right? Just like that. And you can type a little description underneath it. Now, if I wanted to edit a picture, so this one is kind of, let's do this room. This room is kind of dark, mostly because of the red, but I can actually brighten it up. Do you see this light bulb here? I can actually make my picture look a little bit brighter. Almost looks like there's a, like what the cameraman used, the big light or whatever. So don't go too crazy. You don't want to mislead, right? If you go too bright, they're going to think there's 100 skylights, right? So, okay. You can also crop your picture. So if I click on crop, let me go back. This is not a good picture too. No, I'm not going to delete this photo. I'm going to cancel this. Cancel. Okay. So let's say we have a photo with a toilet and we'd rather not have the toilet. So it's hard to do, I know, but we can crop it. And when I click crop, I can just kind of pull up a little bit. So you just know there's a toilet there, but we don't have to see it. You hit apply. And then you at least see that it's got some nice molding and the nice pedestal sink and that nice window and things like that. We don't necessarily put the lid down when you take the picture, please. Okay, so I'm going to cancel. This is a real listing, so we need to make sure we don't mess with it. All right, so there's lots of things you can do when you take listings. The other thing you can do when you fix your listings is, let me just come back out of this one. I'm going to go back to edit. I'll just tell you about it. You can attach things to your listings. You've seen those on other listings. So I'll find one that has an attachment to show you. We can, let's open this one in Atlantic Beach. You see this up here? Agents will attach important things, especially in places where the flood zone information is really important. Every listing will have all these links at the top. You should check them out. The virtual tour, some links to neighborhood info. That's the public record. RPR is a fantastic program that you all have a free account. It comes from the National Association of Realtors. And you can look for properties anywhere in the United States. It's absolutely fantastic. Both of these things come from realtor.com, and they've just updated their program as well. This one is Instanet, the online transaction management program. And Remind, also you have a free account. You have a free account on this one. Remind will give you information about how long they've owned the house, what the chances of them moving are, things like that. Obviously, this one is on the market. So that's what I was talking about with attachments. All righty. I just want to mention that our public records can be searched and has to be searched separately. You can do it right here from this quick search here, or you can just go to the main public records section here and you can search. So public records is every property in Queens, Nassau, Suffolk, and Brooklyn. Every property, whether it's ever been for sale or not. It's got commercial buildings, it's got pieces of land. So it's the information coming from the county records about who owns it, what the taxes are, and things like that. I will say that I don't necessarily think our public records are quite as good as some other programs you have access to, like RPR. I think Zillow's public records are actually pretty good. But the nice thing about here is that you can see if there's been any history on the market. So let me just do a quick street search. Let's see if there's anything on Shelter Lane in Levittown that we can look up. So I'm just going to put the street name Shelter. I don't put lane or road or avenue. You can do a couple of streets by clicking or here. I'll do Shelter and Center Lanes. So I've got 218 properties. I click submit and I'll open the first one. And as you look through these, you're going to be able to see if it's ever been on the market before by looking at the bottom here. Sometimes this is missing because the agent didn't take care of that, but usually it is, and that's a good way for you to kind of know what's gone on with the property. But Public Records has some good information, where the mailing address is. Taxes are out of date. Don't put it on your listings. Make sure you use an independent source for your looking up your taxes. And you've got some great links up here, especially in Queens and Nassau and Brooklyn, for information regarding these public records listings. All right, I see that we are just about out of time, so I'm going to look one more time for questions. When this is over, you'll get a thank you, and if you have a question of something I didn't cover, you can email to that. I'll see that, but I want to give you the phone number and email address for MLS customer service. So I'm going to put that in the chat for you. So their phone number is 631-661-4800, and they are extension 1. That's in your chat right now, 661-4800 extension 1. And the email is customerservice@mlsli.com. I'll send you that. Now, our MLS is going to get a new name in October. We are merging with the MLS in the Hudson Gateway area. That's 5 counties up above, north of the Bronx, Westchester, Putnam, Orange. Oh, I always get stuck on the last counties, but nothing will really change for you. You'll still use Stratus, but you'll have access to look at listing data from up in those towns as well. And yeah, it'll be a new name for the MLS. We don't know what it is yet, but it'll be announced in October. And hopefully that'll be a really good change for all of you. And, maybe we can get the Bronx to jump in and Brooklyn to jump in. Who knows? The future is bright. So I think I gave you all of that. And again, if you want to see this recording, go to the support center. The yellow light bulb at the top of every Stratus screen, and go to the webinars, and I will post it on the top of this list here, recorded webinars and tutorials. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to let you go. I'm so glad that you joined us. I hope you found it helpful, and you may want to take advantage of looking through some of these other ones, because it depends on my mood, what gets covered, little bits and pieces of other things. So thanks. Again, my name is Beth O'Connor, and I am a technology trainer at MLS. And I hope we'll see you soon. And also, I hope you'll go to the Tech Fair on October 3rd. You've seen all kinds of marketing for that. It's a great event. We have a really good lineup this year, and it's only $49. So I hope you'll come. Have a great day, everyone. Stay cool.